launched their newest highest-end phone, the OnePlus 8 Pro, taking another step up in the ladder of their phones, getting slightly more expensive every year, but alongside it they also dropped the OnePlus 8, which is sort of like a premium mid-range phone that starts at number 699. Phones switch to it, give it that treatment. That's gonna be a tough failure to make without respects for the highest in performance on one phone, and we still have a very familiar OnePlus design and experience here. To Bezel have their logo on the back, and still things like the alerts letter that I'm surprised more phones haven't copied yet. Still Oxygen West Wind, my favorite, clean and Redskins with all of its features, so it stopped. Plus would have been it takes always been with OnePlus #1 that their cameras are always just not quite measuring up to the flagships, and to that they always tend to leave out the sort of start from the top. With a new design for the OnePlus 8 Pro, you can see it here. I really like a lot of it. The new matte finish and his blue color are pretty sick. I don't have a lot of matte blue phones, but this one is nice, punching clean, so is easily my favorite blue phone, and this finish is nice, doesn't really show too many fingerprints. Of course you can also grab this Culture Matte Teardone Scan from a channel sponsored the brand, which also feels great, and you can see the wireless charging coil in the back. Plus it's also got a few Easter eggs hidden in the design which are pretty dope. But anyway, yeah, the shape of the phone is boxy, which I've always really liked. Plus there is this new little design accent ridge into the top of the phone, so not as ugly as some of the others out there. It still is pretty big, like it's annoyingly rocks on the table big for sticking out of the phone that much. Like our point that you're looking at the new display, which is an upgrade to pretty much all the ways that count, but also technically a slight downgrade to. So this is a 6.78 inches 1440p 120Hz AMOLED display, and it's really good. OnePlus and DisplayMate say it's their most color accurate display ever. No, the best OnePlus they've ever given. Can start to sound a lot like the Zomark at this point, but I believe U-Color's great calibration for 2024. All these new flagships, which is the smooth 120Hz refresh rate plus 240Hz touch sampling rate, and it is awesome. I'm looking forward to this. Couple specifics on it. 1, yes, it does let you run both high refresh rate and high resolution at the same time, and that's exactly what I've been doing. 1440p at 120Hz at the expense of battery, but you now live your life. Then yes, it is technically a variable refresh rate, so even when you have it set 220Hz just like last year, it will step down to 60Hz occasionally when you're just sitting around not doing anything, or if you're on the home screen, or if you're in some act that won't use it like Waves or Google Maps or Snapchat or a game or something. Then yes, there is still an optical thing operator underneath that screen. It doesn't appear to be any bigger or faster, but still fairly reliable for me. And yes, the edges are still curved over both sides, and this is my least favorite feature of this display. I still get accidental touches like, really, I do realize the idea is it looks cool and its edge lists and futuristic, but it's time to slow that down. I think Samsung's perfected that balance this year between curving the glass a little bit and still having a flat working surface with no accidental touches. Just sent. And also by now, from all these beauty angles of the screen, certainly have noticed that hole punch camera in the top left corner for the selfish shooter for the OnePlus 8 Pro. Was the pop-up camera to look a little bit more like the other flagships, to save a little bit of money, maybe to guarantee the IP68 water certification, maybe just a little bit of all these things. Also the idea, so all of the OnePlus 8's internal specs are high-end top-end Snapdragon 865 8 or 12 gigs of fast LPDDR5 RAM is that super fast UFS 3.0 storage, and the battery also gets an upgrade because on top of all that, it's a 5G capable phone with 120Hz big display, so you get a 4510 million. OnePlus phones are known for having fast charging. This was no exception. You still have their high-speed work charge. 30 tons comes in the box, and that gets you from 0 to half battery like 25 minutes. That was new to the stone as well. High-end wireless charging tech, and to be fair, works exactly as advertised. The stand is nice. It has some little quiet fans in there, and it does some special voltage and thermal management to get the peak 30 watts wireless charging out of it. But if you put another Qi-enabled phone on that wireless charger, charges slower, and if you put the OnePlus 8 Pro on any other wireless charger, it charges slower because that tech was proprietary. 48 megapixel main camera with OIS. Then there's a 48 megapixel ultra-wide with macro mode, which fun fact is the same sensor as the primary camera from the OnePlus 7 Pro, then is a 3x telephoto camera, and believe it or not the fourth one is a 5 megapixel color filter camera, so that's your array. Go ahead and say spitting out sharp 12 megapixel images with nice dynamic range and colors, a bit overexposed sometimes that's where, but generally these are nice photos. Also sign in advance for slightly less outdoor photos. Both shelter in place quarantine thing clearly means I also have less people subjects, but yeah, you can tell this isn't a confident nice camera. No autofocus issues at all, especially given some light, and even sometimes when you don't it's nice. I like it. You are still going to get more fringing with close-up subjects. I take a lot of photos and that's the downside of the big 1/1.4 and sensor, but again that just seems like par for the course for flagship cameras right now. Big sensor, usually sharp photos, but get some fringing on your photos or close-up subjects. The night mode is pretty good, which is nice. Max zoom is 30x from that telephoto camera. How things are usable at 30x, it's barely passable. Galaxy S20 Ultra still to be the zoom champ for that sort of range, but hey, 10x is fine and 3x is definitely usable, and I have pretty much no use for the hat color filter camera. The Celtic camera, the other Passport I usually do, is also good, especially with color and stabilization at 4K and see no 8K video here, but you are not touching the iPhone when it comes to the absolute best video quality in a phone right now, but this is still good flagship quality. Favorites specifically because of the software and optimized experience is Oxygen OS on top of Android 10, and that's no exception here for this phone. There's tons of little tweaks and optimizations and improvements and little tightened up and nations all over the place, but never feels overloaded like some other overlay. Oxygen OS shelf to the left of the home screen, and it's just Google's Discover page now. Megapixel, and there is really high quality haptics in this phone. Again, I love that. And then software, there's just a couple new software features here and there that are nicely executed. There's a new dark mode 2.0 theme, some new dynamic wallpapers tucked in there, and just a lot of aesthetic tweaks generally, but they do a good job of not feeling overly cartoony. And then there is a new motion graphics movie toggle that works with certain apps. You can see the whole compatibility list here for my phone, and it worked pretty well when I tried it for like 2 minutes. I feel like I'm against